let me tell you something, brother. I was clanging and banging down in Venice Beach. We went over to Trader Vic's, and me and Big Sexy and Scott Hall and Sean Waltman. We all had a cool drink, looking cool, eating fruit, buying property, clanging and banging, brother, as two-time, two sweet Hall of Fame inductees for life. That's right. The freaking NWO. And somehow, X-Pac is a two-time Hall of Famer.
It's amazing, isn't it?
2 times. Soul Train Jones, 0. Eric Bischoff, 0. Ted DiBiase, 1.
I gotta tell you though, I'm kind of surprised that, I guess I am and I'm not, but I'm kind of surprised that they're not including Eric Bischoff in the NWO.
I'm very surprised.
I get that he necessarily wasn't a part of the WWE version, but let's be honest, nobody really gave a fuck about the WWE version. The real version was WCW. The only good thing about the NWO in WWF at the time was Vince McMahon's Poison announcement and then spinning the chair around and seeing me in the NWO.
I've got to inject my creation with the
lethal dose of poison.
Crazy. Yes, I don't know how this all came together in the year 2019 to have the Hulkster and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and X-Pac, of course. X-Pac, who was in the NWO for like 6 months and then went back to the WWF, so I don't...
Well, listen, everything we've been hearing is that Hogan's been really pushing to have another Mania match, so this would be a perfect way, you know, if he gets inducted and then has, you know, one last match or, you know... But it would be better if it was like Hogan, Hall, and Nash and X-Pac. You know what I mean? Because then Hogan just has to do a few spots and, you know.
Yeah, but if they're going to go this deep and they're going to go... Because look at it this way. When the NWO first came out, it was just the Outsiders. It was Hall and Nash. And then Hogan turned. And then they got X-Pac because X-Pac jumped. If you're going to include X-Pac, you're going to include... Dusty, you're going to include DiBiase, you're going to include Bischoff, you're going to include fucking Virgil. I mean, how many... Scott Norton? How far are we... How deep are we going to go?
Like 30 members of the NWO.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it should really only be Hogan, Hall, Nash, and Bischoff.
Stevie Ray was in the NWO longer than X-Pac.
That's true.
Oh, God.
And this is one of my Black Friday purchases here. The new Kenny Omega t-shirt.
Nice.
That's a cool looking shirt.
I have an Inner Circle one too, but I'm saving that because I'm waiting for my shipment of the bubbly to come in, and then I'm going to do a review on my YouTube channel of the bubbly, and I'll wear my Inner Circle t-shirt when that opportunity arises. So hopefully in the next week, the Green Arrow Stephen Amell will ship me some goddamn wine. I still think that's funny that he's the guy. Like, Stephen Amell owns a vineyard, and Cody has the American Nightmare, and he's got the American Dream wine, and Jericho's got the bubbly. It's just, it's an odd grouping of people. But, of course, we're here on the War Report, brought to you by TagMeADate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. With our roster of over 75,000 superstars and divas, you too can find your tag team match on TagMeADate.com. We are here live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. We stream on YouTube and Twitch. And tonight, well, I guess the top story is definitely the NWO and Batista going into the Hall of Fame. At this point, once you get past these guys, who do we induct? We got Cena.
Well, like somebody else said that, you know, it could be Undertaker. And I'm like, I don't know that you can induct Undertaker and NWO. Well, yeah, but I also don't think you can have NWO and Undertaker in the same...
Batista in the same...
Right.
I mean.
Yeah, it's just, I don't, you know. So
you have two big names like that, but not...
Big Show, Kane.
Oh, yeah. It was Kane. That's official, right? Kane's going in?
I don't know.
Okay.
I heard that rumor too, though.
There was a rumor about the Bella Twins, which... God, okay. You can make it a point that the Bella Twins, when they came in, they were hired by Johnny Ace because he saw them in a Hawaiian Tropics model
Who's creepily their
catalog. Yeah, he's
father-in-law now.
he's slamming their mom, which is weird.
Yeah.
They weren't good. They left for a little while. They came back. Not that they improved all that much. Brie kind of did better than Nikki. Of course, Nikki had some injuries and shit. But they pushed for more women on TV, which eventually led to, of course, Stephanie McMahon being the founder of the Women's Revolution. But the Bella Twins did push for the women to get a bigger spot. I understand it. But for them to be in the 2019 Hall of Fame when, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, I watched the tag team match with Nikki and Cena against Miz and Mrs.
Wait, I missed this. They're going in?
There's a rumor that they're going in.
Nah,
it's
it's just a rumor.
But it's
God almighty.
okay. Thank you. We're all on the same page here. And I know we talk about Coco Beware. We talk about Drew Carey. We talk about some people that really shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not saying that the Bella Twins should be excluded necessarily. I just think that.
Hey,
I am.
definitely in the Hall of Fame.
But if we're going to induct the Bella Twins, give us some separation from the Bella Twins. This is too recent. They're still on Total Divas. They're
Right,
still
yeah,
Total
that's what I
Bellas.
was
They're
saying.
still. If you got to go back. Not that Alundra Blaze is already, but you could go like Bull Nakano. I don't know. There's other girl. Jazz. Is Ivory in? I don't even remember. Is
Ivory is. They need
Ivory.
She's
Victoria,
in.
Molly Holly,
Victoria, Molly Holly. Thank you. Those are definitely ones that
Gail
should.
Kim, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's kind of not. She's been on the outs with the WWE.
Bull
for a
Nakano
while
would
now.
be cool.
Bull Nakano, I mean, she was only there. Like the Jumping Bomb Angels only had a little run, but I mean,
You
well,
just
how
took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say the Jumping Bomb Angels.
How about
What about
Judy
that other
Martin?
one? Thank you. I was going to say that.
yes, Judy Martin.
And Leilani Kai.
There we just named 10 women that should go in the Hall of Fame. Did Elizabeth finally
Nope.
make it? What the fuck? Where have
Her
I?
mother wants nothing to do with anything of
I
her
get it.
involvement
I get
with
it.
the
I get it.
WWE.
It's like
So-
the Owen situation all over again, where the family doesn't want him in. But it would be a nice acknowledgement. Listen, the WWE isn't. The WWF at the time wasn't what ruined Elizabeth's life.
No.
Lex Luger did that.
It was. I was just going to say, let's call a spade a spade. Lex Luger was the one responsible for that. And even then, personal stuff aside, Lex Luger, wrestling wise, Hall of Famer, fucking first ballot.
Yep.
And he should be in there too.
100%.
And as of right now, he's in a goddamn wheelchair. So let's get the guy in the Hall of Fame.
Did you guys ever see him on Hardcore Pawn?
No, what did he pawn off?
His narcissist cape
Oh, okay. Well, you can pawn that off. I mean,
and,
but-
and a belt and a belt.
no. See, I could never. Especially if I won it legit. Like if he, like I know it's legit, but still, if I won a world title like that, and I was
Well,
like,
do you
yeah.
remember that show? Hardcore Pawn.
I remember the show, but I don't.
Ashley totally lowballed him. She offered him like $400.
Oh, okay. So he didn't sell it, right?
I think when Seth finally came in, I think he settled on $1,250. He sold the cape and the belt for like $1,250.
Oh God, I'm gonna go back and look this up. This is sad.
It was horrible.
Sad.
And he was using a walker walking in.
Yeah,
It
well,
was
yeah.
like,
And now his body's pretty fucked up from the steroids and everything, unfortunately. But
and his brain too for what he did, for
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah. I mean, he's been messed up for a while because of that.
And his wife lived a block away.
Yeah, that wasn't a good situation. WCW wasn't the best situation for Liz. She came back for the money. She was already separated or divorced from Macho, and then they brought her back, and she was in what did they do? They put her right back in a storyline with Macho to she was with the NWO and tried to tempt him. I don't know. There's all kinds of weird shit.
No, she came in with Hogan and Savage. Then she turned on them and went with Ric Flair.
Yes, and that's when she stole Macho's money.
Yes.
And Flair and Woman and all them. Okay.
Yep, we're doing that whole thing. And then
It's all coming back.
Flair sold her to Hulk Hogan.
So, question, did anybody get dog food dumped on their head during that storyline?
The big dog.
Yeah. God damn it.
God.
I'm glad the chairman disconnected before I did that because I don't want his son to hear any more dirty words. But I just want to go. But we'll talk about the current stuff right now. SmackDown was on Friday. Raw was on Monday. Tonight is NWA Power, AEW Dark. Tomorrow's Dynamite and NXT. I suppose we do. I'll start. Here's where I'm going to start the conversation. Andre the Giant ripped the crucifix off Hulk Hogan's chest. Roddy Piper hit Jimmy Snuka with a coconut. Jake the Snake got a cobra to bite Macho Man's arm, and the cobra bit him for so long that the cobra died. Shawn Michaels kicked Marty Jannetty through a plate glass window. And then Baron Corbin pours goddamn dog food on Roman Reigns' head. Something doesn't belong here. Do you see the problem?
Especially when you say that you're getting edgier now and this and that, and then your answer is fucking dog food. I mean, it's just absolutely ruined the entire. Well, the problem that I have is that people seem to like this shit. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It was one of the highest rated segments, although it dropped, I think, below 2 million the last hour.
Not even possible.
They like that, and I couldn't even. I'm sorry, I could not put up with a 10-minute divorce court segment.
Oh my god!
I didn't. So what? But people seem to like trash.
I don't understand
TV. I don't get it. I want to watch wrestling to watch wrestlers wrestle. I understand their storylines that set up the matches. But, like, even the custody of Dominic, when Dominic wasn't 8 feet tall, the custody of Dominic made more sense than all of this, and it still didn't really make much sense, but it led to a great ladder match. So
it didn't matter, though. It was Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio.
Right. So what I'm saying is Reigns and Corbin better pull a fantastic match out of their respective asses to make this.
They could have been competing over Eddie Guerrero's mullet, and it would have been okay.
I'd rather listen to Heidenreich's poetry than this.
Where's Vicky when you need her?
So in true Vince Russo fashion, I thought the best way to settle the Rusev-Lana storyline was if they put Lana on a forklift. And you had to climb the ladder at TLC to get it down.
They put Judy Bagwell on a forklift.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they could haul her fat ass up,
they're gonna probably
like 90 pounds.
They're gonna probably put her ass in a shark tank and hover above the ring.
Yes, I was just thinking the old Enzo Amore shark cage.
But can she slip through it too?
Oh, she's got to lube herself up like Enzo did. God damn. I know we're bouncing around here, but
was Ellsworth.
Did you guys see? Was that Ellsworth that slipped through? Chairman's having trouble connecting. Did you guys see that Big Cass tweeted? He did the old Ryback tweet and delete he said, Joey Janela, don't talk about me anymore. I'm gonna kill you in real life. Basically said he was real life gonna kill Joey Janela, and then did hashtag how you doing. And it's you can't really say you're gonna kill somebody in real life and then put your wrestling catchphrase. That's like Hulk Hogan going, I'm going to shoot you with a gun, brother. It just doesn't, don't say it.
Cass can write a sentence.
We coming for you, N-word.
Yeah. I think that Big Cass, all right, so here's my pitch. And I'm going to have Ryan, if you're listening, clip this part out on Twitch. Clip it out. And I want you to tag, when we post it on Twitter, I want you to tag Dr. Drew and DDP. We need ACH and Big Cass on one of those celebrity rehab shows with DDP and Dr. Drew as the hosts.
Oh my God.
I think that might be the only way to solve the problems that ACH and Big Cass are having, because ACH is, I feel really bad for him because he's somewhere else right now in the
Chad went off on him.
Yeah, and he made a point where he's like, if you have a mental illness and you're getting help, that's you're doing what you need to do. If you're not getting help, if you continue to do negative things, they're not going to benefit you. So either get help or don't keep doing these negative. Don't keep doing the same things.
Fast.
I mean, he fell off a cliff. He came back and did a match with MLW, and they taped it. And they're going to broadcast or whatever. And then, the next day, he's like, oh, I quit wrestling. I was like, brother, what are you doing?
And not to mention all that hype of, he won that fucking tournament in WWE.
The Top Prospects tournament, yeah. And it could have gone to Cameron Grimes, which is, what's his face? I can't even remember his TNA name or his indie name. But yeah, he's Cameron Grimes.
Trevor Lee.
Yes, Trevor Lee.
He does nothing for me, that guy.
The redneck caveman, the caveman coffee,
I don't
caveman
understand,
cowboy.
and Andrew Everett, they were like, those were Hurricanes, two guys, right?
Yeah, I like Andrew
He's
Everett.
bigger than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That made no sense to me.
See, I knew Andrew Everett from like, this is taking me way back. I met Andrew Everett at WrestleCon before WrestleMania 29. Me and him were both working the High Spots table selling merch. So, he was like just starting out, basically. I mean, he might have been training in wrestling locally in North Carolina for a few years, but it was like all of a sudden I saw Andrew Everett on TV.
You know,
Like,
it's funny,
hey,
though, like, when I go to WrestleCade, I see people now that I saw a few years ago that were just starting,
Yeah.
weren't names yet, and now they're names. It's kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah, I don't know. I like talking about anything except for the live programming that's coming out.
You know, dog shit would have been better than dog food.
Although wet dog food, it doesn't smell good. It doesn't taste good unless you're a dog. Like, there's a lot of organ meat in there. They use
Roman Reigns getting dog shit all over him would have been fantastic.
And here's something I'm surprised that
I might have actually had to root for Baron Corbin if that happened.
Here's something that I noticed that I hope that these crazy televangelist people didn't notice. He kind of had his arms like this.
Yeah.
Oh man, some people are gonna be like, oh, they're crucifying him or something, you know.
That was like, do you remember the I Quit match between Orton and Cena, which was basically Passion of the Christ for like 30 minutes? And he just beat the piss out of Cena and he wouldn't give up. And then he resurrected himself and won the match, of course, like John Cena does.
I mean, you know, there was Undertaker, you know, with Stephanie on the symbol.
Yeah, that was
but
very...
then Sandman actually did get crucified by Raven.
Yeah, they don't like to talk about that. They don't like to talk about that one. That was what...
That's the one that Kurt Angle almost wrestling over.
Scared off Kurt Angle. He wouldn't sign with ECW. Could you imagine? I know he would have gotten scooped up by WWF eventually, like everybody else did at that time. But even
within a couple of years.
To even have a run in ECW would have been insane for Kurt Angle. He would have faced Taz before that whole Royal Rumble, choke him out, whatever deal.
Angle versus Awesome or something, or Angle.
Angle Mike Awesome.
Or Masato Tanaka.
Or Tanaka. I was just gonna say Tanaka would have been oh my God. What could have been
when Rhino was in his heyday, you know, God.
Shane Douglas.
The funny thing is, like, when Raven, because it was Raven's idea, of course. Raven and Paulie.
The Jews.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the two Jews want to crucify another guy again. Seems to be a pattern. But Raven comes out and gives this awful apology. If you were offended, I'm sorry. Basically saying, like, I'm not sorry. I don't give a shit about you. But yeah, it's just disappointing because we're gonna look at this and go, that dog food bath was the moment that basically kicked off Roman Reigns' road to the Royal Rumble, to win the Royal Rumble, to go to WrestleMania, to beat The Fiend. And it all started with fucking dog food. Because, you know, I mean, that's the setup. Spoiler alert, everybody. Roman Reigns is going to beat The Fiend at WrestleMania. That's what it is.
If Roman wins, I Wyatt.
I appreciate the child crying in the background after I said Roman Reigns is going to beat The Fiend. That's an appropriate response.
That was a YouTube kid video.
You Riot or you Wyatt?
Exactly. She said you Wyatt. I like
it. I Riot. I've been on the phone all damn day.
Oh, yeah. It's that time of year.
So, NXT.
Yes.
Keith Lee once again.
Keith Lee is a superstar.
He's a beast.
He should be treated as such. And as long as they don't make him dance or whatever, you know, because I hate to say it, with this Monday night thing with the Street Profits, Vince McMahon seems to think that black people are only good at, like, dancing and
that was actually my favorite part of Raw last night.
I hate it. I'm sorry. I did not like that at all. Those guys are great.
I love everything about the Street Profits, although that match shouldn't have happened. That did no favors to
Well,
the
I'm
Street
talking
Profits.
about the rip-off Saturday Night Live.
Oh my God, you didn't like that?
I love that.
I thought that was hilarious.
That was freaking hysterical.
I want them to
That
wrestle.
was literally
I
the
just
best
want
part
them
of
to
Raw.
wrestle. They're funny.
Yes, thank you, Sam. Mhm.
They're funny. They have a bunch of old white people writing the dialogue for them that aren't funny. Let's have the guy, like, if they're going to do stuff, I want them to do stuff that they think is funny, because then it's going to be more funny.
Yeah, but their delivery was perfect.
Well, their facial expressions, they're Angelo Dawkins looking at the camera. There are good spots, because, they're good. The idea is great. There's a disconnect because, again, you've got Vince McMahon and Stephanie going, that's good shit, pal. So you've got Angelo Dawkins looking at the camera like this, and then you've got Montez Ford going, like, that's great. I love that. That little back and forth is great. But, like let them, there needs to be more talent has to have more control over the things that they're saying, because when they say them, it's somewhere genuine.
Your segment with Maria, like Montez goes, yo, oh, she's pregnant. He's like, yeah, she is.
It's shit like that. Like, it's just, they're so good. So yeah, and they didn't need to lose to the Viking Raiders.
Well, not even that they didn't need to lose, but it was pretty one-sided, which I understand, because it's the Viking Raiders and, they're the champs right now, but then it should have been somebody other than the Street Profits, because you're trying to build them up right now, so what does that do?
Well, they couldn't use
They already did that.
They couldn't use Primo and Epico.
It could have been better put
they
together.
didn't save that shit.
Yeah,
It
like,
could definitely have been done better, but at the same time, I think getting the Street Profits on TV, any chance you get is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
because those guys, they put on that ladder match at NXT 25, that 4-team ladder match. They were out of this world, and I want that. Like, I want them. I want
they had with the War Raiders on the last NXT they were at.
Yeah, it's
That the
so
last
good.
NXT the War Raiders were at. It was awesome.
Yeah, I don't like what they're doing with the War Raiders either, because it's like, now that they're the tag champs, they're still doing these squash matches. It's like, I understand you want to build them up as these big, indestructible guys, but they're already there. They're the champs. Yeah.
Oh, there's not really Rude and Ziggler anymore.
Yeah, Rude and Ziggler's done. Primo and Epico are done for at least, 60 days, whatever it is?
It's 30 days.
Is it 30 days? Oh, it's their first ding.
Did they say what it was about? Like, what it was specifically?
It was probably some sort of performance enhancer, HGH.
Last I heard, it was unknown, but yeah, it's probably something like that.
I think it was glorious.
It's unfortunate. It's there's.
I didn't see that coming, honestly, with Rude.
No, I mean, he was always in good shape, but maybe it was just that in TNA the rules were a little looser over there, so maybe he was always gassed up and we just didn't know
Look at
it.
Jeff Hardy in TNA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how many years has Rude been here now? It's not like he didn't know.
Right. Yeah. It's not like it's a surprise. He's been around. For
Hey, listen, we don't know what it is yet. I mean, for
Right.
all
Yeah,
it
we
could
don't
be,
know.
it could be just a regular medication that they don't approve. I mean, we've heard of that before.
That was a Paige problem where she got prescribed something that they didn't like and she didn't clear it with them first.
Right.
So it could be something.
Adderall.
We don't want to jump to conclusions.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. It's unfortunate that.
But he hasn't been on the injured list or anything lately, though, either, Robert.
No.
Well, hopefully, whatever it was glorious.
Yeah, I hope he felt. I hope it was worth it. Whatever he took. Speaking of the suspensions, this has been, instead of our annual, which hasn't happened in a couple of years, our annual post WrestleMania spring cleaning, it happened pre-Christmas. Merry Christmas! You're released from your contract.
And there's more coming.
There probably are.
Yeah, but you know what? For somebody like Harper, that's probably
He
his.
wanted it.
Right, he wanted it.
So did
Right.
Sin Cara.
And the
So Harper
Ascension
and
probably
Sin-
wanted it too. Let's be honest. I mean, what the fuck have they been doing?
Those guys got dealt such a bad hand.
Those guys
not-
can do a similar gimmick in AEW right now and be stars.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, what happened with it looked like the Dark Order came out and helped Baron Corbin on Friday. What was that about? Like, all these unknown guys just jumping Roman Reigns. Like,
Oh, I noticed that too.
they had like, it was like generic ninjas from a Kung Fu movie come out, and he was just like, knocking them down. One of them came from under the ring.
I mean, it wasn't as executed as well as when all those guys helped Yokozuna put Undertaker in the casket.
Oh God, no, because those were
That was at least wrestling.
Well, those were druids, weren't they?
No, they were.
No, the ones when Adam Bomb and everybody
it was
came
all
to help.
Adam Bomb and Bam Bam Bigelow and all those guys.
Yeah, it was lower card guys that helped do that, and then of course Marty Jannetty was the floating Undertaker in that segment. And he floated up, raised to the heavens. But it's a good thing for Luke Harper. So they're all but they're still, so they got released, but they're still beholden to that 90-day non-compete clause. So don't expect Brody Lee to show up in AEW tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. We're talking about closer to March. And Sin Cara is going to go back to Mexico, where Mexican laws don't give a shit about U.S. Non-compete clauses. He'll be back on TV very shortly.
Sin Cara does nothing for me.
He was the good Sin Cara, though. As long
I get it, but
Which Sin Cara was this?
Yeah.
He never did anything.
Unico, right? This was Unico?
I think so.
Yeah. No, he was pretty decent. He never did anything for me either, but out of all those guys, whatever Sin Cara they put under the mask time, he was the best one, most solid worker. And the original Sin Cara is like Mr. Z's or something back in Mexico right now, so he's still working. If he can still be working, then this guy's going to get a job.
Basically, once Kalisto came in, then...
Oh, yeah, Kalisto and Lucha House Party and all those guys.
Now that does nothing for me.
Well, I mean, as a group, no. Individually, Lindsay's good, Metalik is good. They're all good, but then they, they're Lucha House Party, and what does that mean? Yeah, it's like they should be like the Mexicools who drive down to the ring on lawnmowers.
Yeah, the John Deere.
Juan Deere.
Juan Deere, yeah.
They call him Juan Deere.
Juan Cena.
But yeah, those guys, I think Sin Cara is going to land on his feet in Mexico. Luke Harper is going to go back to Brody Lee. He's going to show up in Japan for sure. He's going to show up in AEW almost certainly.
You don't think he's going to go right to AEW?
I think he's going to do what Moxley does. I think he's going to go to Japan, have a couple good matches over there, and then work his way back into AEW.
NWA too, obviously.
Yeah, he could. I mean, he could show up. He could do whatever he wants once that non-compete's over. So, I don't know if he's going to go back to Ring of Honor because right now that's just. I mean, God.
I don't think anybody wants to go to Ring of Honor anymore.
Fucking depressing when you think about like, what was it? 10 years ago, I was at the Hammerstein and I watched. Seth Rollins, well, he wasn't Seth Rollins at the time, but you know what I mean. Seth Rollins and Roddy. Right, he was Tyler Black, and he lost the title to Roddy in the main event. And El Generico and Kevin Owens Kevin Steen had a match then too. It's just so weird to think, like, all this stuff has happened. And Ring of Honor was known as the underground, this is where you build your name. This is where you kind of put in your work and then you get known.
Bryan Danielson, Samoa Joe.
Yeah, right. I mean, all those guys.
The Briscoes
made their way. Yeah, and those guys should have been signed too. I know there's problems with them.
Who, the Briscoes?
Yeah.
I think they've been offered contracts, and I thought they opted to stay with Ring of Honor. That's what I heard.
I don't know what the deal is.
If they're going anywhere, it would be most likely AEW or NWA.
Yeah, and then I hope the NWA doesn't, because all right, we'll get into it now. We didn't get into it last week because we didn't have time. We got half an hour now. We can kind of dig.
Here we go.
We're not going to dig deep, but I hope the NWA bounces back from this whole
Here we go.
Because here's what happened. Once the Jim Cornette thing happened, I saw a bunch of comments online. Oh, I'm never watching the NWA again. Billy Corgan's a racist.
Well, now, hold on. Wait. So, for those who don't know, take us from the top. What is with Cornette?
So, Dave Lagana and Billy Corgan are the two guys who are running NWA proper right now. Jim Cornette was on commentary for the NWA. Trevor Murdoch was wrestling in a match, and Jim Cornette broke out his 40-year-old joke book, as he does, and said that Trevor Murdoch is so tough, he could strap a bucket of fried chicken to his back and ride a motorcycle across Ethiopia and nobody would touch him. Referring to the Ethiopian crisis, again, 30 plus years ago, of being impoverished and a drought and all that other stuff. So Ethiopia at the time, I mean, we see it going forward, maybe 10 years from the first time he said it, which was like in the 80s, you will see Starvin' Marvin on South Park. The Ethiopia, it's a cheap heat thing to say, oh, you're starving like a kid in Ethiopia. You know, but being 2019 and everybody's hypersensitive and taking things out of context, obviously that means that Jim Cornette is a racist and hates all black people. And you know, by extension, Dave Lagana's a racist and Billy Corgan's a racist and the NWA is a racist organization. And I've seen a lot of scuttlebutt online. Oh, I'm not going to support them anymore because they're a bunch of white supremacists, which just, I don't see that. Here's the problem. There's a generational thing here. Dave Lagana's an older guy. Jim Cornette's an older guy. Billy Corgan, believe it or not, closer to 50 than he is to 40. He's an older guy too. You hear that, you run through the show. I didn't think anything of it when I saw him say it. It's just, it didn't even cross my mind that it would be more than, oh, this guy is a heel.
I never said it more 25 years ago.
He's a heel. He's getting heat by saying it, and he's putting out over how tough this guy is. Now, maybe they're conflating, oh, he said Ethiopia, so they're black people, and he said fried chicken, so that's racist because black people like fried. It's a whole lot of lines that you would have to draw in your mind. So
I like fried chicken.
I love fried chicken.
Everybody likes fried chicken.
So the people who are so woke and progressive and all this are the ones that are looking for this stuff. They're drawing lines that aren't necessarily being connected in real life. So you would have to immediately take fried chicken and Ethiopia and do this calculation in your head to go, boom, 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 black people fried chicken. This is all racist. He hates black people. It's such a fucking over-exaggeration of what happened. Dave Lagana didn't edit it out of the broadcast until people complained. Then when he edited it out, they basically admitted they were wrong, so people complained again. And then they did a thank you. This is the thing, and maybe, Eric, you can talk about this because you watch NW too. At the end of last week's episode, they did a very brief thank you, Jim Cornette, for being with us. You're no longer with the company. That's it.
To congratulate the Rock and Roll when they won the tag title.
And then people complained about that. So it doesn't matter what they did, short of dragging Jim Cornette out into the middle of that studio in Georgia and shooting him in the back of the head. There's nothing that you're going to do to placate this type of person. So if
he resigned because they were, pretty much going to be forced to fire him.
He resigned because they wanted him to apologize and he didn't want to apologize. So technically the NWA did the right thing and they're still being treated like, oh, they didn't do the right thing because somebody should have, basically what they're saying is somebody should have caught it so far down the line that it should have never broadcast.
Listen, it was a stupid thing to say in this day and age with how people get offended by everything. Right. But Jim Cornette is the king of controversy when it comes to everything. I mean, if people went back over the expansion of his career, this is nothing compared to what he said in the past.
That's true.
The whole Jim Cornette character, not in real life. Real life, he's a different guy. He's a down-home country boy.
He's a shock jock of wrestling.
Right. Yeah. But when he started out, the idea was he was a privileged white boy whose mother paid for everything. He was part of a country
That's why
club.
He had the
carried
tennis
the tennis racket. He would always talk about Mama Cornette and she wrote I can't wrestle because Mama Cornette wrote me a note and said I'm sick today. Like that was his whole thing was white before there was even the term white privilege. Jim Cornette was playing the white privilege card and being for heat as a fictional. This is all fiction. And now we're going to take this into real life. Jim Cornette, maybe because it's not like the guy on Game of Thrones playing Jon Snow says something. This is a character named Jim Cornette, played by a guy named Jim Cornette, so people conflate what they see on like, does Roman Reigns, like, Baron Corbin didn't dump dog food on Roman Reigns, like, in the parking lot at a Denny's. Like, it's a television show. This is stuff that is designed to get a crowd reaction. Jim Cornette said that stuff to get, even though you could only hear him on commentary, It was to get a reaction out of the viewer. Unfortunately now, no heels can get heat anymore because then they'll get #canceled. That's why we have dog food and cheating on your wife, because there's no more heat anymore. If somebody gets offended, they cry about it on Twitter, and then the person loses their fucking
Remember
job.
the days of the NWO when the fucking garbage would come into the ring? Holy shit.
Yeah, and when Bully Ray would tell the girl that your mother taught you how to suck dick and all this, like, really, and ECW had riots. There was and not just the Dudleys. I know a photographer who used to run the old ECW loop. He caught a guy before the show talking to one of his friends in the parking lot. There were two white guys, and one of them lifted his shirt up and showed that he had a gun tucked into his jeans, and he was going into the wrestling show to shoot New Jack for real. He was going to take a gun and shoot New Jack to murder him.
I remember
this photographer had to call the cops and get this guy arrested so he didn't kill New Jack, who's not. New Jack is a character on television who was using the race card to get heat. They would do in Ohio Valley Wrestling, when the Gangsters first originated, Mustafa and New Jack, they would get an affirmative action referee, and they would get a 2 count. They could win a match on a 2 count because they said it was unfair that they were the only black athletes in the territory. They could win on a 2 count. It's brilliant. It's such good heat. It's such good heat.
Well, look, in the 50s, fucking guys like the Sheik or Classic got stabbed.
Right. So I guess the point is we're all old, and the wrestling business has passed us by, and we don't understand these kids today. Kids, what's the matter with these kids today? From Annie. All right, again, it's another old.
Bye-bye, Birdie.
Bye-bye, Birdie. I'm sorry, not Annie.
Dude.
Well, I was in Annie and Bye-bye, Birdie back to back, so those two run together. I was Daddy Warbucks. I shaved my head. Anyway.
I played Miss Hannigan once.
I can see that.
I'm still singing Little Girls now.
Well, you got a bunch of them. But
no shit.
This thing, it just bugs the shit out of me because, okay, I understand if you want to get mad and you want to cancel somebody and you want to complain on Twitter and cost them their job. If that's the playing field that we're on, the next time you, Mr. or Mrs. Private Citizen, who says something that somebody else doesn't like, you have now set the standard that you are going to get fired, even though you are #woke and all this other bullshit. If you say the wrong thing, it's going to happen to you. It's just, we're raising the stakes and all this so far that everybody's so careful with their words that eventually we're going to lose the nuance of language. We're going to lose the nuance of this is a fictional thing where people, they're intentionally building heat because the idea is like King Joffrey on Game of Thrones. Again, to bring it back to like another television program. What if people, King Joffrey killed what's his face in episode 9 of the first season. Oh, he's such a bad guy. Let's get him fired from his job.
Exactly.
Like, you're not going to fire the actor that plays King Joffrey. The whole idea is you don't like King Joffrey, and then he gets poisoned, and Sansa poisons him, and there's a comeuppance. Like there's a point to this. Bad guys get heat, so the good guys can then show that the bad guys are wrong by winning. Chairman, I see you want to jump in.
I think you're right. There's a lot of levels to this one. And I think for anybody who would hire Jim Cornette as an announcer and not expect him to go off on the rails and do what he does best, it's crazy. And then not to defend him technically afterwards, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, I think that, you know, we unfortunately but fortunately need to know in business in any way, shape, or form that nowadays that's what it is. Right. So we have to kind of find a way to cater in it if we're going to do business nowadays, you know? It's not my personal preference. It's not the way I was raised, not the way we were raised. I don't want to speak to you guys, but, you know, that's just the way it is now. You can't say anything. You can't do anything. I mean, look at all these comedians. Look at everything that you, like, everyone's afraid to just be themselves or to make a joke. It's a fucking joke. Whether it offends you or not, that's the point. It's a joke.
And
exactly.
It happens in I'm a big stand-up comedy fan. I go to a lot of live comedy shows. I'm very tapped into the local Connecticut.
They were like so distant Dave Chappelle for his latest things, and they were awesome.
that Juicy Smollett bit, that was hilarious.
Those were great,
And
especially.
Shane, we won't get into this, but there's a comedian, local comedian, he was from Pennsylvania, moved to New York. His name is Shane Gillis. He's a stand-up comedian, auditioned for Saturday Night Live, got the job. Somebody went back and listened to every podcast that he'd ever done and found that he did an impression of a Chinese person one time. One time, did an impression of a Chinese person, and they hired him for Saturday Night Live. It was announced in Variety magazine. This person put out a tweet saying, "Hey, look, he's racist against Chinese people," and then he got, like, literally within days, he got hired and fired for the biggest job any comedian could ever ask for, Saturday Night Live. And now he's just now, this happened in the summer, he's just now rebuilding his stand-up comedy career because people didn't want to book him because somebody said he was racist against Chinese people. It was a bit. It was a comedy bit. He was talking with, like,
Michael Richards was able to recover from this shit.
Oh, God. That was something else. Like,
That was, yeah.
I understand. He got riled up. And again, I'm not going to defend Michael Richards. He shouldn't have said what he said. But he got riled up by some crowd members and then said some regrettable stuff. That's one situation where you let somebody get the best of you and then you say something you shouldn't have.
Oh.
To just say something in conversation on a television show or a fiction character is different.
What about Sami Zayn? He went off on those people that said, like homophobic words or something like that.
They call him a Canadian F word because I'm not going to say it, and then have people say some bad shit to me.
Hey, hashtag cancel Vince.
Right, yeah, listen, it's already coming. If they could just go back to any number of these shows and I'm done, so.
I mean, I called someone the C word, so, you know.
Yeah, no, but like, so the guy called him the Canadian, and then, but obviously, listen, it's a wrestling fan and a wrestling show, and they're gonna say some shit. If you've never, like, if you think that's bad, you've just never been to a wrestling show. People say a lot worse. And then even to understand that the guy was joking, or not joking, but to understand that he was playing the part of an audience member that's being riled up by Sami Zayn. He said, "Go back to Canada." Like, how much more? You just have to understand that guy's fucking with Sami Zayn. Go back to Canada is like, it's a joke. The whole thing is it's not serious. He doesn't believe that Sami Zayn is, first of all, you have to equate a couple things. Again, you have to draw the line that you have to say that, okay, Sami Zayn is factually Canadian. But then you have to say, oh, Sami Zayn is factually a homosexual. And then you have to say, well, that guy doesn't like homosexuals because he used that word, so therefore if he doesn't like that guy who he thinks is a homosexual, by extension he hates all homosexuals. It's such a fucking reach.
So listen, we have about 15 minutes left.
I've said worse shit.
And we have
I can listen to this do this all night.
we have to cover AEW because it was another great show.
That was a good show.
And
NXT
we
was a
also
great
have
show.
to just mention Seth Rollins is officially heel.
Finally.
Yes, we have to
So-
talk about Seth Rollins.
Thank God.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I
like the pairing with AOP.
It's some people said it was either like the Shield 2.0.
I said that last week.
Or it was the my favorite one was a picture of Seth with J&J Security, and then a picture of the mutagen from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and then it's a picture of Seth with AOP.
That's funny.
Tokar and Razor.
Yeah, right. It's, oh my God, he is Razor. Oh no. Oh, it's the same name. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I also like the turnaround in the chair in the band. When Rollins turned around.
And then he flipped up
The reveal.
But there was never any doubt in my mind that it wasn't Seth Rollins.
No, and that's the other thing was when he goes, that first attack by the AOP, I had nothing to do with. Yeah, you didn't have nothing to do with it. Come on now, like we all know, this is just more bullshit. Like it was designed. Just don't. At least cop. He should have copped to it. If he copped to it, it would have been even more heat. Like, oh, you were planning this way back when, 4 weeks ago or whatever it is.
It's nice that the placeholder no longer has a placeholder. He's actually got a place. Nice.
Yeah, and.
So you wanted him to go, "It's me, Kevin.
It was
me all along."
That's something. Like, because the WWE has like two different versions of what a bad guy is. You're either foreign and you speak a foreign language so people boo you, or you go out and you say, you people, and I did this for you people, and you people let me down, and you people. Like, we get it, Seth. You people don't like you. We get it. The people don't like you. That's the whole. We've known this for 3 months.
It's the Rocky Maivia thing.
Yeah, it was, and honestly, I don't know why he had to beat Brock Lesnar twice. It still doesn't make sense to me that he beat Brock Lesnar twice. Clean.
He still did a better job than Kevin Owens did beating up that van. That was some of the worst shit I've ever seen. It was like he was scared to hit the truck. Hit the fucking truck, man. Who cares?
I was like, come on, Goldberg did it.
And they cut his fucking arm for life. Yeah. He was done.
Goldberg, that was the...
Hey, you're going into the main event at the next pay-per-view. Fuck your arm up. Good job.
There was a pipe in that scene. When he goes out, there was a pipe under the limo that he was supposed to grab and smash the windows out with. And Goldberg said, nah, I'm just going to smash them regular with my arm. He thought they were gimmicked windows.
Idiot.
And they weren't. They were real glass windows. So the whole thing was just, oh my God. It was a white limo. So my memory was after he smashed the windows, he knew he was injured. He smashed his forearms on the hood of the car and just a big splatter of blood.
Yep, I remember that. And they cut the TV right away. As soon as the blood hit the limo, they cut it. I remember.
God.
That's hilarious.
Do you think that he thought that Bret Hart was also gimmicked when he super kicked him and ended his career?
Oh no, that was just.
Sorry, I hate
it makes
Goldberg.
me so sad. It's another what if, man.
I'm with you, Sam. It's all good.
But AEW. So AEW again had a great Cody promo. You had 3 or 4 really good matches. You had a promo from the Dark Order that explained their intentions a little more. They beat up the fat guy.
I do like the videos.
I like the videos.
The vignettes are pretty cool.
The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny had a vignette, so you kind of know what they're after. They're after Cody because he's the standard bearer of AEW and the ultimate good guy and everything, and they want to, they're going after him. On Twitter, I love the Bunny. MJF revealed on Twitter that he hired the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny to come in as mercenaries and do this tag team match. So that kind of explains where they came from. The one segment that people are talking about that they didn't like was Brandy coming out with Kong.
I loved it.
And then they shaved the girl's head. So the girl's name is Melanie Cruz.
Right.
She's worked all over. She's like a 10-year veteran. And, I mean, legit shaved her head on TV. And
so like a straight edge society type of thing?
Yeah. People aren't into it. They go, it's the straight edge society. It's like, if Michael Cole is not there beating you over the head with it, it's like wrestling fans don't understand what's going on. If you don't get it by now after a month of promos, Brandy Rhodes is a voodoo queen. Like Marie Laveau. She's collecting hair to make voodoo dolls and sacrifices. If you watched American Horror Story Coven, that was like season 3. It was a decade ago.
I love the look, too.
Right. She's got the look. She's got the big. She's not wrestling. Kong is wrestling.
And she's great on the mic. She's believable.
The only thing that's weird to me, though, is that, like, she's a complete heel, yet Cody's a complete face. And they separate, like, it's weird.
I want to touch. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's what makes it work, though. That's awesome. You get a little bit of both.
Right. I agree.
To me, and again, this is only because
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's odd.
No, see, I'm a weirdo, so I kind of, I jack of all trades, master of none. In voodoo, it's very possible that if we follow this logical step, that Brandy's into voodoo. She's with Cody. She has lots of Cody's personal possessions around her. She has the dog, whatever. She could be casting a spell on Cody where he doesn't give a shit that she's a bad person. It's happening, like, in voodoo tradition.
Right, that makes sense.
Right, in voodoo tradition, you cast a spell on your lover, they don't notice that.
That's some good fucking writing, Vince.
It's just, it's based on the New Orleans Creole.
That's actually really brilliant now that you say it like that. I'm like, shit.
So he doesn't notice because she holds some kind of power over him. Maybe that will come to light eventually. I don't know.
She holds a lot of power over me, too.
I'm sure.
All of us.
She is a smoke. 11 out of 10. Oh my God. The other thing I want to touch
I
on.
probably should have let my wife shave my head because she's gonna do voodoo on me. Is that what this is?
Your wife's gonna have a pocket of your hair, and she's just gonna go to
Maybe
best.
she probably did a fucking voodoo on me to take all my money. I think that's what it is.
Well, I was gonna say, I saw you shared a picture. You bought a Maserati a couple of years ago. I think we
We all have that voodoo power, Sam.
right? The one thing I do want to touch on real quick is that another complaint that people have about AEW is that you've got the Dark Order, the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny, and then Brandy and Kong, and they think that these gimmicks are all too similar. But if you look at them not as just, they all wear black and they're bad guys, one is a voodoo cult, which is Brandy and Kong and Melanie Cruz. The Dark Order is Fight Club. This is exactly, if you read the book or watch a movie, it's Fight Club. They're you're taking people in. His name is Robert Paulson. Nobody has a name in Fight Club. It's very Fight Club-esque. And then, like, the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny are more like Eyes Wide Shut. It's more of like a...
Awesome. Secret Society.
Right. Secret Society, BDSM cult.
Yeah.
They're I understand there are similarities. But
Like
they're
the
different.
Society of Owls, like in the Batman thing.
Yes, they're all kind of different lanes. Yeah. So that's my explanation for all
But
that.
can we agree that the best thing about AEW, especially last week, was Jericho brought back the fucking list.
Yes, but a different.
Was amazing.
He's so fucking good, man. We say it every week. And he gets better and better and better. And then as he's reading the names off the list, every like third or fourth one is Moxley. It's
so
just
we know what's coming.
Right, of course. And it's going to be such a bitter feud now than it was then.
Angry Ghost, Hateful Trace.
Hateful Trace. I loved that when we got the Hateful Trace. The last name he said before the music cut him off was Marty. Dun dun dun.
Right. Yeah.
And of course he could have been referring to Marty Jannetty, but I think we all know he's referring to another certain Marty.
Yes.
There were hints on this week's
Kenny Omega, Kenny Ortega, Kenny from South Park.
and be like, oh, he's just copying the list of Jericho. No, he's copying the list of 1,004
Adam
hosts from 20
Page,
years
Diamond
ago.
Dallas Page.
Yeah. But this is the thing.
And then when the crowd was chanting about the list, and he goes, comment down, this is in 2016 or, whatever. And then, he's so funny.
He's good. I mean, he
A
shuts.
lexicon of Le Champion.
He gets the crowd. The crowd is behind him because he's Chris Jericho. They want to like him. They want to cheer these weird antics. But then he finds a way to shut him down.
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing he usually says is, shut the hell up.
But the great... So the show last week was from the University of Illinois. And that's where Tony Khan went to college. So everybody was cheering for Tony. They were like, Tony Khan. And he goes, who the hell is Tony? It was great. I mean, it's just little... This is why Jericho is still going 30 years later. He's brilliant.
He's a chameleon. He knows how to change with the times, and he's like guys like The Undertaker or Matt Hardy even, change and evolve.
And that's,
Jericho's the master of that.
Jeff Hardy, not to talk about a guy when he's down, never evolved. It was the same Jeff Hardy that you got when he first wrestled Scott Hall as a jobber to now, except now maybe he's got some face paint that glows in the dark. Like there's not much evolution. Matt Hardy he tweaked his gimmick and worked it in so many different ways because he was he was going to be the Jannetty of that tag team. He knew that he couldn't just be, oh yeah. He had to do the V1 thing. He had to do the broken thing. Ice cold Matt Hardy, which stunk, but still he tried it. Like he's trying stuff, and now Jericho does this fat Axl Rose. Like people don't understand that. Oh, Jericho's out of shape. No, Jericho said like 2 years ago when he started going to Japan, he purposely put on more weight so he could have a different style. Because he's not doing the high flying flips and all that stuff that he used to do. He put on more weight to be a brawler, more like a Bruiser Brody style wrestler rather than doing the high spots that he used to do when he was a fucking thrill seeker, when he was Lionheart and all and Corazon de Leon and all this stuff. So now he's like people don't understand. Sure, maybe he's got a drinking problem. I don't know the guy personally, but he's doing this fat Axl Rose rock star past his prime, still trying to dress like a young guy thing. I love it. Like it's so Chris Jericho to be, yeah, man, I'm a rock star, but I'm this schlubby, out of shape rock star who's 10 years past it. And
let's be honest, he's really not that out of shape either. I mean,
No, not at all.
He's like,
you could tell he's put on a little bit, but
yeah,
He's also fucking 50 years old, though.
yeah,
You know,
but
Right.
if he wanted to, he could cut that weight. But
of course
I think
he could.
it helps when he wears those shiny, stupid jackets, and he's like fat guy in a little coat, and it's great. And he wears the reflective sunglasses.
I love everything about Jericho. Jericho's amazing.
It all works so well. It all works so
and
well.
to another extent, I think Cody Rhodes is another guy that has been able to
Yeah.
chicken shit into chicken salad all the time.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
mean, he had a team with DiBiase. He had a team with Bob Holly. He had to be
He had a fucking
Stardust.
mustache. He made a mustache.
He broke his nose and made the mask work.
Yep.
I thought that was brilliant.
And then this week he did an homage to Ric Flair challenging Eric Bischoff on Monday Nitro. You want my jacket, you want my watch, whatever. It's all in my car. To build up this
Surprised he
thing.
didn't knee drop his jacket or something.
He might as well. But he's got, so they zoom in, and he's basically got a people's elbow or a people's eyebrow above his eyebrow. So he's got like a third eyebrow now above where that cut is. And it constantly looks like he's giving the people's eyebrow, but he's already got one underneath it. It's pretty gnarly. It's a gnarly scar. He's such a good promo. He doesn't have to, and that's the thing. He doesn't even have to work. He just has to come out. The fans love him. There's a connection there because not only is he Dusty's son, but he grew up watching Dusty on TV. He watched through the Attitude Era. He knows what works and what doesn't. He's so locked into this professional wrestling thing that he's just got the fans in the palm of his hand. They trust him, they believe in him, and they want him to be the guy.
Right.
So,
it's real and genuine, that's what it comes off.
It's the most genuine thing in wrestling right now because people burn it down. Everybody, yeah, cheers, and you'll cheer, oh, good for him, and whatever. But when Cody comes out and starts talking, there's just such an earnestness.
It's a connection.
Honesty. Right. And even if it's lines that he's scripted in his head and he's saying these things, it feels genuine.
It's very simple. He gave the wrestling fans an alternative.
He gave the wrestling business a shot in the ass.
Yeah. So it's an exciting time, as we've been saying, because there is some good wrestling on TV. And on that note, it's the top of the hour.
Yes, it is. Do you want to lay down any updates about?
Yeah, we're going to be a little delayed, so bear with us. We're still working out some stuff, but stay tuned. We'll get you updates as they come.
Yep. I mean, it seems like maybe we're doing. I don't want to say a full redesign, but it sounds like there's going to be some changes to the Tag Me a Date structure and the way it looks. So, if you were used to the old way,
the good news is it's going to be better than ever. That's the whole point.
The positive thing about the positive thing about this is it's an opportunity to evolve. And like we were saying about Matt Hardy, like we're saying about Cody Rhodes, you have to change. You can't have your website can't stay the same for very long. Facebook implements changes all the fucking time. Instagram does the same thing. Every time they're constantly changing. So we're changing. Not necessarily the spirit of the social networking and the connecting and the dating, but more of a new car smell. You know what I mean? Don't worry,
we're not going Windows 10 on you.
No, God, no. So stick with us. We'll keep you updated on the podcast here. Best way to listen to the podcast is either we stream live, we restream on Twitch and on YouTube, both at the same time, live Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. Go to youtube.com, type in Tag Me a Date, all one word, Tag Me a Date, take out all the spaces, smush it together. You'll find the Tag Me a Date channel. Subscribe, hit the bell so you see you'll get an alert when we go live or when we upload a video. The audio-only replays go up a day or so later. Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. So again, you look for Tag Me a Date there. And Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I don't know what other social networks we're on, but just look for it's at Tag Me a Date. It's really easy. If you're going to look for us, you look for at Tag Me a Date. All one word, no spaces. And again, this is for tagmeadate.com, which, hold your horses. We're not. Website's being redesigned. So we'll let you know what's going to happen. This is the best way to listen to the show or follow us on social media to find out what's going on with the redesign of the site. And other than that, we will be live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. So if you want to follow along, subscribe on YouTube. That's really the best way to get in contact with us. askthewarreport@gmail.com if you have questions that you want read on air. We'll get back to those too. I know it's been a while since we've done a mailbag. We'll have to do a whole mail sack. It's been so long. But we'll go through, and if you have questions, askthewarreport@gmail.com.
My bad.
It's all right. I mean, we're busy. We have lives. We're we don't just sit at this computer 6 days a week waiting for Tuesday. We got other things to do. So with that being said, thank you for sticking with us. We'll be back live next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube and Twitch, and then all of our stuff will be uploaded to the podcast network. So see you then, and thank you so much for listening. See you next week.